17 international GTOpen season, and we should be in for an absolute thriller. 60 minutes of racing to look forward to around one of the most magnificent circuits in Europe. This the second of 7 stops for the season, and after a thrilling race yesterday, which was claimed by Philip Frommenvila and Albert Costa, their second win of the season, who will prevail this afternoon? Well, it's certainly going to be interesting, because this morning we had qualifying held in extremely wet conditions, and as you can see, the wet weather has somewhat blown away in the intervening period, so we've got a slightly jumbled grid that was set on a wet circuit, which is headed by the Imperiale Racing Lamborghini of Vito Postiglione. And Postiglione, who was the pace setter throughout qualifying in the car that he shares with Andrea Fontana. They finished an excellent 5th in yesterday's race, and could be very well set in the Imperiale Racing Lamborghini Huracan. Second on the grid then, the Farnbacher Racing Lexus of Mario and Dominic Farnbacher. It's Mario who takes the start, and this was a car that retired yesterday, but they have had success already this year, and that came in race 2 in Estoril, where they were triumphant. So the Lexus being one of the dominant cars of the season so far. Third on the grid then for Duncan Tappy and Mike Benham in the Garage 59 McLaren. Tappy fully focused on the job ahead. Here Mike Benham, indeed the Garage 59 team, having a slightly frustrating day yesterday. An excellent 4th on the grid for the Brazilian Alan Coder in the Drivex Mercedes that he shares with his compatriot Marcelo Hahn. They finished 10th yesterday, 3rd overall in the Pro-Am class. And then here, 5th on the grid is Philip Frommenvila, yesterday's race winner in the Emil Frey Racing Lexus. And as a result, Frommenvila and Albert Costa, currently the championship leaders, from Rob Bell and Sean Balfe. 6th on the grid for Michael Meadows and Jordan Witt in the Jordan Racing Bentley, and they were very impressive yesterday, taking Pro-Am honours. And for Michael Meadows, very solid job in qualifying once more. Giovanni Venturini in the second of the Imperiale Racing Lamborghinis lines up in 7th in the car that he shares with reigning champion Thomas Biaggi. And then 8th on the grid is Nelson Piquet, the former F1 racer, former Formula E champion, appearing this weekend in the Teo Martin Motorsport BMW alongside Lourenco Beirao de Viega. They finished 4th in yesterday's race after a surging performance from Piquet late on. The wet qualifying this morning really working against the torque and power of the BMW. 9th on the grid for Miguel Ramos in the Spirit of Race Ferrari. Ramos and Michael Mack finishing 3rd in yesterday's race, their first trip to the rostrum of the season. Bit more work to do for Ramos. So let's have a look then at how they line up in full, with on the front row of the grid Vito Postiglione and Mario Farnbacher. Then row 2, Duncan Tappy and Alan Coder. The third row of the grid, Philip Frommenvila and Michael Meadows. So very strong front phase of the field. And then on to row 4, Giovanni Venturini and Nelson Piquet. 5th row of the grid for Miguel Ramos and then Mauro Calamir, the Solaris Racing Aston Martin squad, hoping for better luck after yesterday's disappointments. Eduardo Liberati and Victor Bouveng. Bouveng, yesterday's runner-up on row 6. Then Marco Ciocci will be disappointed to be in 13th, and he shares row 7 with local driver Sam de Jong. The 8th row of the grid, the Triple F Racing Lamborghini Huracan of Hiroshi Hamaguchi and Sean Balfe in the Balfe Motorsport McLaren. And it's Alex West in 17th alongside Valentin Pierberg, with Luis Silva and Davide Rizzo, the frontrunners in the GTOpen class, completing the grid. Unfortunately, the driver who set the quickest time in qualifying earlier on, Johnny Molam, unable to take the start. He made contact with the barrier late on in the session. So no FF Corse Ferrari. They will be back for Paul Ricard. We also have lost a couple of the cars from yesterday, unable to be repaired overnight, but nonetheless a very full field heading off on to the formation lap. It is a 60-minute race. There is the mandatory pit stop that comes between the 24th and 36th minute of proceedings, and we will of course have the pit handicaps working their way through as well, which helps to balance out performance in the race and through the course of the season. So what that means is that yesterday's race winners, Philip Frommenvila and Albert Costa, have got an additional 15 seconds in the pits. Sean Balfe and Rob Bell, they've got an additional 20 seconds because they've not been off the Pro-Am podium so far this year. But it does therefore leave a lot of potential for pole sitter Postiglione and Mario Farnbacher alongside him to potentially get a good result from this afternoon. The same for Duncan Tappy in third in the Garage 59 McLaren. Also, do watch for the progress of the BMWs, who didn't really get the track position or the laps they would have wanted in qualifying earlier on. And likewise, Michael Beddoes in the Bentley might be able to do a little bit better than the 6th place, where he's going to be starting the race. Marco Ciocci, likewise from 13th, another of those drivers who you would expect to see carving his way up through the field. A glimpse there of the Kaspersky Racing Ferrari of Davide Rizzo, which lines up in 20th position. Rizzo and Alex Moiseev victorious in the GTOpen class in yesterday's race. So the field winding their way towards Pouhon. Glimpse there of the Spirit of Race Ferrari of Miguel Ramos and Mikel Mack. And fortunately, the forecast thunderstorms for this afternoon so far staying away, and the latest forecasts suggest that it's probably not going to be an issue until we maybe get to the very closing stage of the race. There is Andrea Fontana, who will be taking over from Vito Postiglione mid-race. Fontana, who put in a really fine performance yesterday, as did Vito Postiglione. Postiglione fending off Ciocci in the latter stages. Victor Bouveng, likewise, in the second of the Teo Martin BMWs, finishing runner-up yesterday alongside Fran Rueda. Bouveng a little bit more work to do. He's got the Ratón Racing Lamborghini of Eduardo Liberati to clear first of all, and then Mauro Calamir in the Solaris Aston Martin. I think Dominic Farnbacher would rather like the race to get started. It was an all-nighter from the Solaris team after fortunate contact with the MS Racing Mercedes yesterday, which ruled the Mercedes out for the weekend, but the Aston Martin there on the grid and looking for a good result as the field now heading through Blanchimont, beginning to bunch up, getting ready for the rolling start. So they form up side by side, and it is going to be Postiglione who paces the field. Will Farnbacher be able to get the jump on him in the Lexus, or will the Lamborghini have enough heading towards La Source for the first time? Yesterday they all got through the first turn cleanly. Will it be the case once more? So the pace car forms the field up, making a magnificent sight. The early summer sunshine beating down on the cars. It's been a hot and humid weekend in Spa. The next 60 minutes promises to be very entertaining indeed, as now Postiglione runs through the bus stop chicane, will then bunch the field up once more, looking to the gantry, waiting for the red lights to change, which they'll do any moment now. The field come out of the bus stop chicane. We're about to go racing. We go racing for the 4th time this season. It's a great start from Postiglione, a very good getaway as well from Duncan Tappy in the McLaren, who might jink to the inside of Farnbacher as they head through La Source for the first time. Indeed he does, as they then run downhill. Pushed wide is Victor Bouveng in the BMW. Also running a little bit wide is Alex West. Very good start as well from Alain Cadet, who challenges Mario Farnbacher, but doesn't succeed in getting through as they flash through a Rouge for the first time, climb out of Radion and then on to the Kemmel Straight. And Tappy possibly under immediate threat as Victor Bouveng has got Marco Ciocci snapping at his heels. But Postiglione leads the way. Tappy second, Farnbacher third, Cadet fourth, From Avila fifth, Michael Meadows into 6th, and Duncan Tappy using his experience and wiles to keep that second place in the Garage 59 McLaren. A little bit slippery through Les Combes. Bouveng runs wide again. He's going to have to let a couple of them through before he rejoins the position from whence he left the circuit. Down through the Bruxelles hairpin. And then into the left-hander, feeding towards Pouhon. Lively start to the race, but fortunately, no contact there is Sean Balfe, currently second in the championship, running 16th, 15th at the moment, just ahead of Hiroshi Hamaguchi as Eduardo Liberati, as Victor Bouveng and Marco Ciocci snapping at his heels through Pouhon for the first time. As again, Mario Farnbacher looks to challenge Duncan Tappy. Nelson Piquet looks to try and pick his way past Miguel Ramos, but the Spirit of Race Ferrari, the hands of Ramos, can be very wide when he needs it to be. Postiglione runs out over the curb, leads the way in the Imperiale Racing Lamborghini. So they complete the second sector on this first lap, and then the long blast out of Stavelot towards Blanchimont. This is Lexus and BMW and Bentley territory. It means that, again, Duncan Tappy has got the Farnbacher Lexus looming very large in his mirrors, but Tappy sticking to the racing line, making Mario Farnbacher do all the hard work. And as Tappy and Farnbacher fight, it gives Postiglione the chance to break away a little bit at the front of the field. Tappy then slows the McLaren for the bus stop chicane. Alain Cadet likewise keeps Philippe Fromenville behind him. Piquet fended off momentarily by Miguel Ramos, so we head into the second lap of the race, and immediately Duncan Tappy trying to pressurise Vito Postiglione as Michael Meadows looks to line up the move on Fromenville. Fromenville defends into the Lassour's hairpin. They come out of the hairpin, sprint downhill, and this is a good run for Michael Meadows. Is it he's side by side with the Lexus, and he may have gone through. Yes, he has. Michael Meadows, great move in the Jordan Racing Bentley. He demotes Philippe Fromenville to 6th. Consequently, and fairly obviously, moves up into 5th position as Sam de Jong and Sean Balfe look to try and apply the pressure to Victor Bouveng. The race leaders come down the Kemmel Straight for the second time. Again, Tappy moves across to the inside. This time Mario Farnbacher draws alongside. Tappy having none of it. Farnbacher thinks better of it. Slots in behind the Garage 59 McLaren. Duncan Tappy, a former British Formula Renault champion, former winner of the Formula Ford Festival as well, before moving into GT racing, where he's been one of the quickest drivers at this level for many, many years. Heads around Bruxelles hairpin. Postiglione trying to break away at the front of the pack. Then we've got Tappy, then we've got Farnbacher. Alain Cadet still in 4th. It's this three-way scrap for the lead. Thrilling stuff. Particularly as it's not really gapping the field just at the moment. Looks as if Nelson Piquet has been able to find his way past Miguel Ramos, and now Piquet released in pursuit of Giovanni Venturini to Fagna. Mario Farnbacher again looks to the inside of Tappy, fills Tappy's mirrors. Duncan having absolutely none of it whatsoever, making the Lexus driver do all the hard work. We've got the leading 8 cars, only covered by a couple of seconds or thereabouts, as they blast out of Stavelot for the second time. The run in towards Blanchimont, and what more could you want on a Sunday afternoon than supercars looking absolutely fantastic, as Farnbacher looking to try and pressurise Tappy. Tappy really having to position the McLaren absolutely to perfection to keep Mario Farnbacher behind him, but he's doing the job. At the same time, Mario Farnbacher clearly has got a car with a lot of potential underneath him, but at the moment he can't pick his way past the McLaren and has to settle once more for following behind him through the bus stop chicane. Alain Cadet still there. Nelson Piquet, meanwhile, has made the pass on Giovanni Venturini, so Piquet has had a good lap. He's gained 2 places. His next target now is Philippe Fromenville. This leading group of 7 cars, 3.9 seconds covers all of them, as they head down out of the hairpin at the source the 3rd time towards Eau Rouge. There you have it. Piquet also confirmed as having set the fastest lap of the race through Eau Rouge. I think you may have had a mistake at La Source. Mario Farnbacher, he's dropped back a little bit from Duncan Tappy. Piquet trying to close up to Fromenville. He's bringing Giovanni Venturini with him for company. Then there's a gap of a couple of seconds as Alain Cadet now under pressure from the Bentley of Michael Meadows. And Meadows draws alongside the Drivex Mercedes, and Meadows goes around the outside into Les Combes. The classic Spa move takes to the AstroTurf. I think he'd feel that he'd made the move before then, so he's not inclined to give the place back to Alain Cadet. There's already Nelson Piquet closing up to Philippe Fromenville. While it's still the green Imperiale Lamborghini, Vito Postiglione, who leads, as he has done through the whole of the first 6 minutes of the race. Tappy in 2nd, Mario Farnbacher, Farnbacher Racing Lexus 3rd, the Bentley of Michael Meadows is 4th, Mercedes Alain Cadet 5th. Then we've got Philippe Fromenville, Nelson Piquet, Giovanni Venturini, and Piquet's got a good run here on Fromenville as they come down out of Poole, and it's the BMW with the red bonnet, forces Fromenville to defend, who covers a tight line into Fagna. Piquet just rides a wheel over the curb. He's going to try and propel himself on the exit towards Stavelot. Nothing doing though for Piquet, as they then head out of Stavelot on this long run towards Blanchimont. The Lexus and BMW not going to be that dissimilarly matched. One would suggest in a straight line, as again Mario Farnbacher trying to line up the manoeuvre on Duncan Tappy. was almost a gap there to the inside for the Lexus to go through. McLaren, though, made sure it disappeared, as again, Farnbacher looks to the outside. Tappy parks the garage 59 McLaren squarely in the middle of the road, and as Farnbacher might feel he gets a little bit thwarted here by Tappy, it's going to give Michael Meadows certainly the chance to join in the party. He might bring Alan Cadet with him for company as well. Before too long, Nelson Piquet will be part of the mix. There is Piquet, the Aston Martin Motorsport BMW. Great scrap behind. Miguel Ramos gets passed by Sam de Jong in the Aston Martin Brussels car. The next in the queue then is Sean Balfe. Sean's had a couple of good laps. He's up to 13th overall. His next target is Miguel Ramos. It's Victor Bouveng, Eduardo Liberati, Hiroshi Hamaguchi all lost out a little bit from the start of the race. All still running, and it's another place gained for Sean Balfe. Just wonder if Miguel Ramos has possibly got a little bit of an issue in the spirit of race. Ferrari is now. Mario Farnbacher is able to make the move on Duncan Tappy into Lecom. Farnbacher goes second. The Lexus kicks sideways. Farnbacher picks up the throttle, runs downhill as this epic scrap behind continues. Liberati squeezes out Hamaguchi. Alex West and Davide Rizzo also picking their way through. And it's sadly Miguel Ramos who's really lost out from all that, has been shuffled through that group of cars. Back to the fight for 6th and 7th. Philip Fromavila in the Lexus with Nelson Piquet just behind him. Piquet looks to challenge to the outside line into Pouon. That's not going to work, is it? Surely. It doesn't work as Fromavila moves across, takes the racing line, but then slithers wide, and Piquet should go through on the exit. Here they come, side by side out of Pouon. Fromavila out over the curb. He's still side by side with Nelson Piquet. Piquet's going to try and force the move through Fania, which he does. Great manoeuvre from Nelson Piquet. He takes the place away from Philip Fromavila, goes 6th, and immediately will start his pursuit of the leading group of cars. Means the Lexus slips into the clutches of Giovanni Venturini and Marco Ciocci. Ciocci having bridged the gap to the leading group over the past couple of laps. Piquet's got a little bit of ground to make up now, about 2.2 seconds to Alan Cadet through the time he lost battling with Fromavila. The way that Piquet's been going, I don't think it's going to be too long before he closes that down. Meanwhile, Mario Farnbacher has caught up to Vito Postiglione in the Lamborghini Huracan, the race leader. Farnbacher might fancy his chances of challenging for the lead as they head towards Lecom. He forces Postiglione to defend a little bit into La Source. There's a frenetic opening to the race, exactly the sort of battling that we were hoping for. Meanwhile, here is a look at the move from Sean Balfe around the outside of Victor Bouveng. And then Balfe getting his elbows out, making sure there's no way back for Bouveng. Here come the race leaders then. Postiglione from Farnbacher, then Tappy and Meadows. Michael Meadows possibly going to be able to make the pass on Duncan Tappy. Vito Postiglione defending from Mario Farnbacher. Moving one side of the road, then to the other. But the Imperiale Racing Lamborghini does the job, at least for now. He keeps the Lexus behind him. As they come down in towards the Bruxelles hairpin. Bentley in 3rd, McLaren in 4th. Then we've got Alan Cadet still doing a great job in the Mercedes in 5th. So 6 different types of car in the top 6 places once you throw in the BMW of Nelson Piquet in 6th position. Now Vito Postiglione going to have to essentially not consult his mirrors at all and just get his head down and see what he can do about keeping the Farnbacher Lexus behind him. Swinging out of Pouon in towards the fan chicane. The car's slow, they run through chicane. This is where the Lamborghini might just be able to buy itself a car length or so over the Lexus, but then it will be coming out of Stavolo. This is where the grunt of the Lexus might come to the fore over the Lamborghini Huracan. It's into the pit lane and out of the car. Somewhat frustrated Miguel Ramos. Disappointment for Miguel after 3rd place yesterday. Spirit of race Ferrari hitting trouble early on. Postiglione using every inch of the road and a little bit more maybe through Blanchimont, trying to keep Mario Farnbacher behind him. But again, Postiglione has got the Lamborghini Huracan positioned where he needs it to be. So there's no way through for the Lexus. The Lamborghini prevails. The pace they're running at in the low 2-minute 21-second bracket means the cars behind aren't exactly romping up onto their tail. Again, Postiglione just moving across at the last possible moment to cover the line into La Source. And there's Nelson Piquet, you see in the BMW. He's closed up to this leading quintet. Philip Fromenvilla, Giovanni Venturini, Marco Ciocci, all not too far adrift either. It's Postiglione heads the train through Eau Rouge and then climbing out over Ratón. And again, immediately the Lexus trying to get onto terms with the Lamborghini. Postiglione's going to have to work hard down the Kemmel Straight. Again, the Lamborghini moves to the inside line. He's not going to give any space to the inside for the Lexus to try and challenge. He then just glides back across, claims the racing line. No way through for Mario Farnbacher. Brilliant wheel-to-wheel racing, this multi-mark GT racing at its very, very best. On towards Bruxelles, the Bentley of Michael Meadows is closing up onto their tail as well. Postiglione defends the inside line. Nothing that Farnbacher can do. And it's about to become 3 for the lead, and once the Bentley gets into the mix and starts filling Mario Farnbacher's mirrors, this could start to get even more interesting. Towards Pouhon, this is more Lamborghini Huracan territory. The traction of the Lamborghini absolutely fantastic. As they sweep through the double left-hander on towards Fagna. Postiglione this time doesn't have to cover the inside line. He has to get every corner absolutely perfect, because the slightest slip, Farnbacher is going to be through like a shot. It's a good scrap as well, forming for 4th behind Duncan Tappy, Alan Kader and Nelson Piquet joining in. But here's Michael Meadows, former star of Porsche Carrera Cup racing in the UK, chasing Mario Farnbacher, chasing Vito Postiglione in the Jordan Racing Bentley. It's again Postiglione under threat from the Lexus as they head towards Blanchimont. Farnbacher has the luxury of picking his line. Postiglione knows that he's just going to have to defend as they come out towards the bus stop chicane. But the Italian's wise to it, make sure there is not a Lexus width to the inside of the car as they arrive into the bus stop chicane. They jink through. This is to complete the 6th lap of the race. We're already at 1/4 race distance. Is absolutely flying by, and this is the battle of the season so far. Into La Source, Meadows is right up behind Mario Farnbacher. We've still got this leading group of 9 cars only covered by 5 seconds, and it's going to make the pit stops absolutely critical when the pit window opens in 9 minutes' time. Down towards Eau Rouge, and Meadows might have a run here on Farnbacher as they climb out of Ratón. The big Bentley is pretty potent in a straight line. It's a gaggle of 9 cars all thundering out of Ratón. Down the Kemmel Straight. Postiglione doesn't have to defend from Farnbacher this time around. Farnbacher not quite having to defend from Michael Meadows. So they all file through Les Combes in a single train. Duncan Tappy remains 4th, Alan Kader 5th, 6th for Nelson Piquet. Bruxelles hairpin, next challenge. Nobody putting a wheel wrong. And then they swing and swoop downhill through the quick left-hander. Feeds them towards Pouhon. And Postiglione's done a magnificent job so far of soaking up the pressure. He's now had about 3 laps of Mario Farnbacher all over his tail. Philip Fromenvilla in 7th. He's got Venturini and Ciocci right behind him. Towards Fagna, a little bit darker over on the far side of the circuit. Looking from commentary box, there is cloud cover coming in. It doesn't look like rain clouds just at the moment. No change in position through this 7th lap of the race so far. Nobody's made any errors either. Bentley picks up the throttle, tries to chase the Lexus, but Mario Farnbacher not quite as close to Postiglione as he has been on previous occasions. Swinging through Blanchimont on towards the bus stop chicane. The Imperiale racing Lamborghini Huracan. Vito Postiglione leading the way as it has done ever since the start of the race. Mario Farnbacher just 6/10 of a second behind as they flash through across the line. There, Tappy and Piquet all closing up to leading trio as well. Venturini and Chiocci a little bit closer too, so it's now just 5.7 seconds to cover the leading 3 cars. The leading 9 cars, rather, as they swoop through Eau Rouge once more, climbing out of Ratón onto the Kemmel Straight. Nobody quite close enough, I don't think, to challenge towards Lechner this time around. But the intensity of this scrap is still at a very, very good pace, because they're 4 seconds clear of Mauro Calamir. Calamir a further 3 seconds clear of Sam de Jong, as around the outside of Duncan Tappy goes Alam Kader, but he runs wide in the Drivex Mercedes through Lechner. He might have to give that position back, Alam Kader. Didn't quite complete the move before he took to the escape route. Kader clearly has a slightly different opinion, so he continues in 4th. Duncan Tappy slips into 5th, and the Drivex Mercedes off in pursuit of the leading trio. Now it's Tappy versus Piquet. Nelson Piquet pursuing Duncan Tappy. The pair of them have raced at the same meetings in the United Kingdom going back about 14 years ago, when Nelson Piquet was in British Formula 3, Duncan Tappy in British Formula Ford. And Piquet looking to try and challenge Tappy into Fagnes. Sticking to his line in the garage 59 McLaren. Meanwhile, Mario Farnbacher starting to come back at Vito Postiglione as well. So the battle at the front of the field all starting to crunch together once more. And Farnbacher's got a good run here on Postiglione as they come out of Stavelot. The same for Piquet on Duncan Tappy as we look towards Blanchimont. Is there going to be a challenge for the lead? There might be. Farnbacher again right with the Lamborghini as they swing through the left-hander towards the bus stop chicane, and this is as close as Mario Farnbacher has been for the past couple of laps. It means that Vito Postiglione has to just take that slightly more defensive line into the bus stop chicane. He gets the Lamborghini Huracan stopped, and the braking distance of these cars are absolutely phenomenal. It almost looks like they're defeating the laws of physics, given just how quickly the drivers could slow them down. Michael Meadows now getting back onto terms as well with Mario Farnbacher, so this could be fun. Jordan Racing Bentley, Alam Kader trying to chase them down as well. Then there's a slight gap back to Duncan Tappy, but Meadows in the Bentley, a good run through Eau Rouge here, and he might be able to take advantage of the tow down the Kemmel Straight. Out of Ratón they climb, and is Meadows going to be close enough in the Bentley to Mario Farnbacher? Farnbacher pretty punchy. He's also got the benefit of the tow from Postiglione, so there's no change in the order of the top 3. Postiglione just has to preemptively glide across towards the middle of the road as Piquet thinks about looking to the inside of Tappy. Meanwhile, Philip Fromenvilla has been demoted by both Marco Chiocci and Giovanni Venturini, so Fromenvilla losing out. He slips down into 9th. It's the fight for the lead as intense as it ever has been. Postiglione under pressure through almost every corner from Mario Farnbacher. And don't forget, the Farnbacher Lexus didn't have a great day yesterday, which means they might have slightly fresher Michelin tyres than Vito Postiglione in the Imperiale Racing Lamborghini. As the field swing into Pouhon. Nelson Piquet closing up as well to Duncan Tappy. Headlights are blows from Alam Kader as Farnbacher thought about the move into Fagnes, so did Nelson Piquet. But the Aston Martin Motorsport BMW has been behind the Garage 59 McLaren for the duration of the past lap, and this has been magnificent racing. No contact, very, very clean between this leading group. Alam Kader under investigation for that move at Lechner, as we rather thought he might be, as Piquet tries to land the move on Tappy as they head towards Blanchimont. Renko Berau de Viega waiting to take over that car from Nelson Piquet as Postiglione clings on to the lead. It's been a magnificent defensive drive this from Postiglione. He's been almost bullied by the Lexus. The Lexus has now got the BMW and the Mercedes right behind it as Alam Kader has well and truly joined this scrap too. Is Kader going to make the move here on Michael Meadows? Is Meadows going to make the move on Mario Farnbacher? It's going to be a bit of a sort out into La Source. Farnbacher to the inside, Meadows to the outside, and the Bentley looking for space that's not really forthcoming. But Farnbacher runs wide as they head downhill. Kader sniffing around too, and Mario Farnbacher might lose out. He loses out to Michael Meadows. He almost loses out to Alam Kader as they head into Eau Rouge. Meadows goes second. Farnbacher to third, and Kader remains in fourth, but he's got a lot of momentum as they climb out of Ratón onto the Kemmel Straight. This for the 10th time. Down the Kemmel Straight, climbing uphill all the while, and Postiglione gets momentary respite in the lead of the race. Farnbacher demoted to third as PK challenges Duncan Tappy. See how that resolves itself, and PK's through, so Nelson Piquet goes fifth. Duncan Tappy slips down into sixth. Just see at the back of the picture there, you see it. Now, how long before Nelson Piquet closes up onto turns with this leading quartet? Because the pace of Vito Postiglione is a mid 2:22, therefore everybody behind him is running exactly at that pace. But then Nelson Piquet in clear air has been doing 2:21s at ease, if not a little bit quicker. Pit window opens in just 90 seconds time as well, so the element of strategy is going to start to come into play. But this has been an absolutely fantastic opening phase of the race, and certainly this leading group of 9 cars, certainly the leading 8 cars, you'd imagine they're going to stay out until reasonably deep into the pit window, so that is then going to have to be tempered with the progress of the likes of Rob Bell and Com Ledegaard a little bit further down the field, because the field spread, because of this battle at the front, isn't as big as we may have expected. It's only 35 seconds covering the leading 17 cars, which means there's plenty of potential for some of those further back to side through a little bit later on. Meadows thinks about looking to the inside of Vito Postiglione. Postiglione, provided he doesn't fluff his lines with shock at seeing a car other than the Lexus filling his mirrors, he'll just have to keep doing what he's doing. But this time with the Bentley, meanwhile Alan Kader looking to threaten the Lexus into Massours, looks one side then the other. That allows Nelson Piquet to start to close up. And Piquet is just 1.5 seconds adrift of the leading quartet. Again, Alan Kader with a good run on Mario Farnbacher. The pit window is open. Already, Sam de Jong, in fact, has been in for a few laps in the Aston Martin Brussels car. We'll see whether or not Tim Pierberg and Alex West duck into the pits. Certainly Pierberg does, and West as well. It's Con Ledegaard and George Kowiak taking over as Chokchi threatens Duncan Tappy. We have got, and there is the change for Valentin Pierberg. Kowiak, who certainly had his adventures yesterday in between being blisteringly quick at the wheel of the SPS Automotive Mercedes. Now we have also got Com Ledegaard in Garage 59, Alex West having done his job, Ledegaard about to be released on his way. Pair of them having a fairly frustrating day yesterday, pushing out the hands of Jules Simconviac. We've also had reports that the team manager Vito Postiglione has been summoned to race control. We don't know why. Not seen anything too untoward from Postiglione. Keep our eyes peeled for any penalties that may be forthcoming. Philip Fromville yet to pit in the Lexus, but he's slipped adrift. There he is, yesterday's race winner. Can't imagine it's going to be too long before he ducks into the pit lane to hand over to Albert Costa. Vito Postiglione comes to the close of another lap. It's been a tenacious defensive performance from Postiglione of absolutely nothing else. It really has been very well done as Mario Farnbacher ducks into the pit lane. He will pass over to Dominic Farnbacher. And I think what's ominous to the rest of the field is very strong driver pairing, Dominic and Mario Farnbacher, and they've not got any handicap seconds for today, which means this undercut could work beautifully for them when the overall results of the race shake out. Also, Thomas Biaggi to take over from Giovanni Venturini. Philip Fromville is in as well. Venturini rolls to a halt. Multiple World GT champion, reigning International GTOpen champion, Thomas Biaggi takes over. Albert Costa gets strapped into the wheel of the Emil Frey Racing Lexus. Michael Meadows applies the pressure to Postiglione is behind. It was 3 wide, heading towards Lechner. You don't know where to look in this race, do you? It's absolutely magnificent racing. And still, Vito Postiglione, as he has done, what will probably feel like the longest 30 minutes of his life, leads the way. Fran Rueda takes over from Victor Bouveng at the wheel of the Aston Martin Motorsport BMW. The sister car of Nelson Piquet, now up into 4th position. Track limits warning flag going out to Michael Meadows in the Bentley in 2nd place. Thunder of the GT3s as they pile downhill through Pouhon. Leading group of cars have remained within 5 or so seconds of each other all the way through the opening phase of the race. Now the pit window closes when there are 24 minutes left on the clock, so they've still got the opportunity for maybe 3 or 4 more laps here, this leading group, provided they don't slow themselves down too much. And as the fuel load has got a little bit lighter, so the pace has elevated. Now running in the mid 2-minute 21-second bracket, having been in the 2-minute 20s. Those that have pitted, not unsurprisingly, Dominic Farnbacher is to the 4 of that queue. But Antonio Liuzzi and Rob Bell also now taking over the wheel of their respective charges. As Piquet looks to try and threaten Alain Cadet, but Cadet once more than holding his own at the wheel of the Drivex Mercedes. He was a revelation in Estoril, continues to be the case through into this 2nd meeting of the season here in Spa. I should say that the clouds are definitely beginning to form above the circuit. It's not quite looking like rain yet, but we'll see as flashing through Eau Rouge, the leading quartet climb up the Kemmel Straight. Postiglione moving again to the inside line. Meadows following him. Then Cadet and Piquet, they all are bunching up onto each other once more. Ciocci and Tappi still having an absolutely fantastic dice. Marco Ciocci and Duncan Tappi, they're 2 of the best in the business as Ciocci swoops around the outside of the McLaren. So the Ferrari gains the position. Tappi to 6th. This is what we'll see through the course of the season, is that some circuits just play to the characteristics of some cars better than others. So the McLaren went brilliantly in Estoril. Expect to see it going well in Paul Ricard too. As Alex Moisev takes over in the lead of the GTOpen class from Davide Rizzo. Nelson Piquet trying to light the move on Alain Cadet, and it is raining out on the far side of the circuit according to the timing screen. Up at Lake Com, beginning to be a few drops of precipitation. Now the ambient temperature is still very warm here this afternoon, so if it's just a passing shower, then don't think it's going to be an awful lot of an impact for the drivers, because the Michelin tires will be nice and hot. The water will burn off fairly quickly, but if it turns into a bit more of a downpour, then that could make life very, very challenging indeed. Meadows still pursues Postiglione. Postiglione, a couple of car lengths his advantage over Alain Cadet, with Nelson Piquet 4th just behind him. The leading quartet through the bus stop chicane into the pits comes Michael Meadows. Also in is Nelson Piquet. So Meadows to hand over to Jordan Witt, Piquet to Lourenco Beirao de Viega. So Postiglione and Cadet released to continue on their way. Marco Ciocci and Duncan Tappi not pitting in on this occasion. So brand new set of slicks, it would appear, for Lourenco Beirao de Viega to play with. So looks like a pretty nice set of Michelin rubber. Again, brand new, I would suggest, for Jordan Witt, the second half of the race. Now this is the section of the circuit where the rainfall has been reported, but you can see the windscreen wiper not going on Postiglione's Lamborghini Huracan, and certainly the track looking pretty dry at the moment. It's always the case here at Spa. Oh, there you see the rain into the Bruxelles hairpin. Just against the headlights, and it is raining pretty hard there as Cadet Postiglione just understeer a little bit. And if you think back 12 months ago, we had the rain really coming down in the race that was won by Nicky Pastorelli and Josh Webster. This is the challenge at, well, it's a double challenge at Spa. Firstly, the weather conditions can change in the blink of an eye. Secondly, the track is so lengthy that it can be wet at one side of it and not the other. That was a great drive from Nelson Piquet. Should be very pleased with that performance. They would have hoped to get a little bit further. Here is Fagna and Postiglione and Cadet slip sliding their way, so that the whole far side of the circuit now very treacherous. And then they'll come through Stavelot and on towards Blanchimont, and it dries out once more, and they can press on as hard as they want. Postiglione and Cadet. Wipers still going, just about, but it's not. Well, it is raining into Blanchimont now. It's just really, actually, the start and finish stretch where our commentary box is, where it's not raining. So they should. They're going to duck into the pits. Cadet ducks in. Postiglione continues on his way. So Marcello Hahn will take over from Alain Cadet. Vito Postiglione is going to continue to the last possible moment before handing over to Andrea Fontana. Marco Ciocci likewise. Duncan Tappy's in to pass over to Mike Benham. Of those that have pitted, not unsurprisingly, it's Dominic Farnbacher, who is the foremost, 7.6 seconds clear Lorenzo Beirao de Viega, with then Thomas Biaggi third in that queue, Jordan Witt fourth, Francesco Cini and Albert Costa. Drivex and Garage 59 teams getting to work. Towards Les Combes. Oh, that looks mighty slippery for Vito Postiglione, but these GT3 cars, they've got a great level of mechanical grip. They've got ABS brakes available to them, and that means that it's not less of a handful, as it's now properly raining over the Bruxelles hairpin. Just looking to see if anybody has gone missing along the way out on the track. Yes, Kang Ling in the Ratón Racing Lamborghini, who avoided a pretty substantial accident by the smallest of margins there. And this now starts to turn everything on its head a little bit, because the Bruxelles section of the circuit, very wet. Then through Pouhon, it's damp, but clearly not as wet as over at Bruxelles. And then by the time you get towards Fagna, it gets very, very slippery again. And that is where Postiglione arrives now. He moves to the edge of the circuit. That's where the wet line is. That's where all the marbles that have accumulated during the weekend have started to form up. And so we'll get a little bit more traction, as, my goodness me, it's now almost a monsoon as they head towards Stavelot. And don't forget, Vito Postiglione is on slick tyres, which means that for the Italian, this is a whole heap of no fun at all. You then cut back to the pit lane. Hard to believe it's the same circuit. And in has come Jordan Witt, so he is putting some wet tyres onto the Jordan Racing Bentley. As Postiglione blasts towards Blanchimont, and it's as he swings around the left-hander, he'll suddenly go, what's all the fuss about? It's dry. And there you see the edge of the cloud. And it's not anywhere near as slippery as at Blanchimont. Now, this is up to the bubble for Postiglione and Marco Ciocci in terms of getting into the pits before the pit window closes, because he's down to 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I would venture that he's just missed the closing of the pit window, as the safety car has come out just as Postiglione and Ciocci pit in. So there's a lot to sort out here, because they gambled with that extra lap. The conditions has worsened so much that the lap was appreciably slower than they would have anticipated, as now Giovanni Venturini will take over from, or rather Andrea Fontana takes over from Vito Postiglione. Here Giuseppe Perezzini takes over from Marco Ciocci. They will probably rejoin in the lead because the safety car is out, so everybody's slowing it down. and suddenly everything gets turned on its head. There's wet tyres going on for Perezzini. Now, is this going to explain why we've got a safety car? Well, yeah, more than. As Albert Costa in the Lexus flies off. Oh, it's a car park. Lorenzo Beirao de Viega, Thomas Biaggi in trouble. And it's Albert Costa who's possibly gone the furthest at the Bruxelles hairpin. He's just in the gravel. He's going to get back underway. But what a twist in the tail. More as Vitantonio Liuzzi aquaplanes off. So does Com Ledergaard in the Garage 59 McLaren. And Ledergaard, oh, I fear, has crunched into the wall to cap what's been a pretty wretched weekend for the Garage 59 McLaren team, because Ledergaard went in very hot, and as we cut away it looked as if he was going to go straight onto the tyres. We might get another shot of it, and so a lot of business to sort out when they pick up the safety car and how this is all going to resolve itself. So the rain coming down, catching half the field on slick tyres. There is Thomas Biaggi. He is one of those who has been caught up in it. Dominic Farnbacher and Marcello Hahn have come into the pits. So here is the field behind the safety car. It is Andrea Fontana from Pier Giuseppe Perezzini. Third place, for my money, is Mike Benham. Dominic Farnbacher has just switched to wet weather tyres. And this is Alex Moiseev as he just tries to get the power down the Kaspersky Racing Ferrari. And this is always the challenge here at Spa. It can turn in an instant. So Com Ledergaard, pleased to report, it would appear hasn't, he did make contact with the barrier, it would appear he's not done too much damage. As Francesco Cini comes in, wet tyres for Cini as well, and yet the whole field piling into the pit lane. Of course, the other twist in all of this is going to be that when we do get racing, the track may have substantially dried out in certain sections. Now, this is potentially very good news for Jordan Witt, who pitted earlier, because he's now rumbled past the pit lane as we have a look at the conditions over at the Bruxelles hairpin, as Rob Bell also gets some wets fitted from the Balfe Motorsport mechanics. Now, we have had a history of wet races here at Spa over the years in the GTOpen. 2012, tremendously wet conditions. Last year, tremendously wet conditions. But the intensity with which the rain has come down, and you can see the plumes of water being kicked off the cars as they come through Bruxelles towards the left-hander that feeds them towards Pouhon. I rather fear this is going to be a fairly lengthy hiatus behind the safety car, as you can see Marcello Hahn, even at safety car pace, just struggling with traction a little bit. So they follow the safety car around. The order is Andrea Fontana from Pier Giuseppe Perezzini, then it's Michael Benham, Dominic Farnbacher is 4th, Marcello Hahn is 5th, Jordan Witt is 6th, Francesco Cini 7th, Lorenzo Beirao de Viega 8th, Thomas Biaggi is 9th, Jules Simcoviak in 10th, Albert Costa 11th, Vitantonio Liuzzi is in 12th, in 13th place it's Rob Bell, 14th Fran Rader, 15th Com Ledergaard. And by the time the safety car comes in, provided it does come in, we're only going to have time for probably 10 to 15 minutes more of racing. Now, this is, oh dear, Jules Simcoviak in the SPS Automotive Mercedes, pushing hard behind the safety car to get up to the tail of the train and thumping the car into the Armco, both sides on the way along the Kemmel Straight. And it really does tell you, even with the wet tyres on, that sections of the circuit are not really raceable at the moment. So the clock continues to tick down, and it's such a pity the rain arrived when it did, because we had enjoyed, if you remember, that absolutely wonderful fight at the front of the field for the first half of the race. And then as the pit window was coming to a close, the rain came down, and you can see it's already blown through over at Stavelot. It really is just that section around Bruxelles and the Kemmel Straight which is particularly difficult. We've had absolutely no rain whatsoever over the pit complex. And we might do in a minute, because you can see that section along through Blanchimont just a little bit damper. quite how we're going to sort all this out remains to be seen. Andrea Fontana in the number 23 Imperiale Racing Lamborghini. That car has led ever since the start of the race. It continues to lead the way. Giuseppe Perezzini, second position, beneficiary of that long stint from Marco Ciocci. Really fighting performance from Ciocci. Mike Benham in third, likewise. And then Dominic Farnbacher in fourth. So they file behind the safety car. This is to conclude the 16th lap of the race. And they all run fairly slowly out of the bus stop chicane. So again, it's worth emphasising that it is a warm day here in Spa, as Jules Simconviac, limping on his way in the SPS Automotive Mercedes. He certainly had his adventures this weekend. I'm really pleased to see there's not been more substantial damage to that car, because that was a high-speed off that he had over at Lecom. I don't think he's carrying a puncture. So towards Eau Rouge, still behind the safety car. And really, the point we're going to see whether or not the safety car is going to be coming in is in a few corners' time. It's over at Bruxelles and Pouhon, where the track was looking absolutely atrocious, possibly along towards Lecom. So again, out of Eau Rouge and Radion, no issues. It's then the next camera angle that we'll see them as they come down the Kemmel Straight. A lap ago, we could barely see them. This time around, the conditions already appreciably better. It's stopped raining, but you can see the level of spray that's being kicked up. You can see just how much water has fallen on the circuit. They pick their way through Lecom. It's not quite, it doesn't appear to be much in the way of well, a little bit mid-corner, way of standing water, before they then head down from Lecom towards Bruxelles. And again, the rain isn't falling anymore. The track a little bit drier because the water has been able to drain away, of course. The road running steeply downhill, so there is the opportunity for the water to drain away on this section of the circuit. And through the left-hander, still just so much spray being kicked up, even behind the safety car. Still a quarter of the race to run, of course, so they'll continue to circulate. It really does open up the opportunity for the likes of Rob Bell and Com Ledegaard. The agile handling of the McLaren might enjoy the wet weather just a little bit more. In terms of the classes, by the way, Giuseppe Perezzini leads the Pro-Am class from Mike Benham and Marcello Hahn. The GTOpen class, that's led by Alex Moisev from Antonio Coimbra. It's an all-pro pairing, Andrea Fontana and Vito Postiglione, who lead the race overall. Jordan Witt navigates Fagna on towards Stavelot, and again the shower that was there has passed. The last lap behind the safety car was 6 minutes. This one, I would anticipate, is going to, broadly speaking, be 6 minutes again, which means it's going to be about 12 minutes left on the clock when we come back through. So if the following lap is the final lap behind the safety car, we're only going to be looking at 3 laps of racing when we do get back underway. So the field all under control. As the Mercedes has recovered to the pit lane, rather fear that is game over. The car goes up on the air jacks. There's not a lot of work being done. Having a little bit of an inspection of the car. It's again out of Blanchimont to the end of the 17th lap of the race. And that last lap behind the safety car suggests that more rain hasn't come down, that we might be going into our final lap behind the safety car this time around, because the sections of the circuit which were looking the most treacherous are already beginning to drain out. The sunshine has come out over at La Source. I don't think we're going to have enough racing time here for a dry line to appear and for the wet tyres to be at risk of overheating. It's running downhill out of Source towards Eau Rouge. Now, a lap ago, it was raining a little bit at Eau Rouge. Is that the case this time around? Doesn't look as if it is. Clearly very greasy and treacherous. Disappointment in the SPS Automotive garage. They may have been able to pull a good result from this one. And then down Kemmel Straight, again, looking much, much better this time around. And a lot of spray still being kicked up, but maybe not quite as bad as the preceding lap. All the while, of course, the race clock continues to tick down. That last lap behind the safety car was 4.5 minutes. So we'll get round probably with 8 minutes left on the clock. Marco Ciocci watching from the AF Corse pit. He's probably got mixed feelings about whether or not he wants the safety car to stay out for the next 11.5 minutes or not, because if it does, then he and Giuseppe Perezzini will claim class victory and second overall, but it's not going to. The safety car is coming in at the end of this lap, so the weather front has passed over and the track deemed safe enough to race. So this is the last opportunity for the drivers to inspect the conditions. Then we are going to be in for a 4-lap or thereabouts shootout. It promises to be absolutely fantastic. Lots for the teams to ponder, and this is going to be fairly anxious for all of them, because really we're going to see some very quick cars trying to push their way through the field. We're going to see others who are maybe slightly less enthusiastic about that idea. So who could this play into the hands of? Well, Dominic Farnbacher might be able to pull a rabbit out of the hat in the Lexus. The same possibly for Albert Costa. Rob Bell and Com Ledegar should not be discounted in the McLarens. And likewise, Vitantonio Liuzzi in the Triple F Racing Lamborghini. Then we've got Andrea Fontana out front, as that car has been throughout the course of the race. And what Fontana will hope for is that those behind struggle to make much progress quickly, and that will possibly allow him to build up a little bit of decisive advantage. So the field out of Fania into Stavolo. It's been a brilliant race so far. It's going to be very, very exciting conclusion to the race, one would suspect, because we've got potentially more than 10 race winners all bunched up together in completely unpredictable track conditions, because it rained in qualifying earlier on, but these are the second drivers. They won't have had any wet weather running this weekend. They didn't have any wet weather running really in Estoril. And so this is potentially going to be a little bit of a voyage into the unknown for some of them. The cars, of course, all set up for dry weather with wet weather tyres on them. So what is going to happen is Andrea Fontana backs the field up, waiting for the right moment to pull the pin. The safety car has moved clear, so now it's Fontana's luxury as to when he goes, and he accelerates now en route towards the bus stop chicane, and Andrea Fontana trying to break away from Giuseppe Perezzini, and that's been well managed from Fontana, provided that he can negotiate the bus stop chicane, which he does without any drama. So the 20-year-old Italian Andrea Fontana leads the field as we go back green flag racing, just shy of 9 minutes left on the clock as the pack blasts towards La Source. This section of the track hasn't had any rain whatsoever, as Dominic Farnbacher looking to the inside of Mike Benham and the Garage 59 McLaren. Benham having none of it. He, in turn, will fancy his chances of Well, he's got to lap Antonio Coimbra in the sporting new Mercedes, but Coimbra, I can't imagine he's going to be in a hurry to jump off the racing line as they all fight their way downhill towards Eau Rouge, which is still pretty dry. Rob Bell makes a little bit of ground. He finds a way around Vitantonio Liuzzi. Com Ledegaard also making progress as down the Kemmel Straight once more. The spray gets kicked up. It's going to be driving blind for those behind. It would appear as if Dominic Farnbacher has made the move on Mike Benham. Indeed he has, as Benham only now goes around the sporting new Mercedes. So Farnbacher goes third, Benham slips to fourth, Marcelo Hahn is there in fifth, Jordan Witt is sixth, Albert Costa seventh from Renko Beirao de Viega. Some of those behind and the progress that they can make as the Lamborghini and the Ferrari head the Lexus into the Bruxelles hairpin. This is where it was so slippery when the rain came down, but fortunately in the first half of the field no issues, but Fontana has got Perezzini and Farnbacher right on his tail now. It's behind in the gloom. Thomas Biaggi thrusting past Francesco Cini. Com Ledegaard looking to the inside of Vitantonio Liuzzi. Liuzzi in turn trying to threaten Rob Bell. It's Marcelo Hahn to the inside of Antonio Coimbra through Pouin. Coimbra edged out wide as Dominic Farnbacher has made the move on Perezzini. So Farnbacher in the Lexus goes second, and we're back to where we were. The Lexus hustling the Imperiale Racing Lamborghini Huracan, but this is going to be a tall order, one would suspect, for Andrea Fontana. Dominic Farnbacher a little bit more experienced than the young Italian. Here's the move from Marcelo Hahn. It's just lappery. Not sure that Antonio Coimbra saw him until it was a little bit late in the day. And the Mercedes just elects to ease out and run wide. Now the Lamborghini gets the power down, accelerates towards Blanchimont, back into the daylight, so to speak, onto the drier section of the circuit. And really for Fontana, he just needs to copy Postiglione's playbook from earlier in the race, but he leaves a gaping hole to the inside into the bus stop chicane. Only closes it at the last minute. It gives Dominic Farnbacher the opportunity to maybe challenge as they come out of the bus stop chicane, and the Lexus is well poised to possibly make the run even in towards the La Source hairpin. First three cars running as one. Perezzini doesn't want anything to do with it. Oh, Fontana squeezes Farnbacher. Contact between them. The Lexus hustles its way past, but Perezzini might claim both scalps as they run down towards Eau Rouge. A little bit hard to see from that angle, but Farnbacher was slowed, and Pier Giuseppe Perezzini takes the lead of the race. Dominic Farnbacher into second. Andrea Fontana slips to third as they climb out of Radion. They're absolutely on the limit of adhesion as the Lexus looks to get a good run on the Ferrari, but Perezzini, with the chance of victory on the cards, well, he could have defended that a little bit more. As it is, Farnbacher's got the inside line as they sprint along the Kemmel Straight on the brakes into Les Combes. Dominic Farnbacher glides through, takes the lead away from Perezzini, and so we're potentially looking at a repeat result from Estoril. From Avila and Costa victorious in race 1, the Farnbachers victorious in race 2. Doesn't really quite tell the story of things though, does it? As Dominic Farnbacher leads through the Bruxelles hairpin. Second place of Perezzini, third Fontana, fourth is Mike Benham, fifth Albert Costa. Here's another look at it. Not surprisingly under investigation. Well, there wasn't a huge amount of space, but Dominic Farnbacher was committed to the move and decided to go for it nonetheless. A bit of frustration. Imperiale Racing Team is through Pouin. Albert Costa closing up onto the tail of Mike Benham. Albert Costa might be able to extend his championship lead further still. He can get himself onto the outright race podium again. It's going to be the challenge as he chases Benham as they slide their way through Fagnes. Benham in the garage 59 McLaren though, looking set for second place in the Pro-Am class as Costa slips around the outside, quite literally into Stavolo. Still lots of standing water over on this section of the circuit. Headlights ablaze, he accelerates on his way towards Blanchimont. So Dominic Farnbacher leads, second place Pier Giuseppe Perezzini, third Andrea Fontana, fourth Albert Costa, fifth this man Mike Benham, in sixth it's Marcelo Hahn, seventh Jordan Witt, eighth is Com Ledegaard, ninth Lourenco Beirao de Viega, and 10th is Rob Bell. You can see in the background progress of the likes of Ledegaard and Bell really something to behold. There's Rob Bell looking to the inside of Lourenco Beirao de Viega. The BMW, which shone so brightly in the early stage of the race, maybe having a slightly less enjoyable time a bit late on as the nimble McLaren draws alongside. Meanwhile, the challenge from Com Leathergar, he looks to the inside of Jordan Witt on the brakes into La Source. Through goes Leathergar. So that promotes him into 7th overall. One more place for Com Leathergar, and that will put he and Alex West on the Pro-Am podium. He's got Marcello Hahn ahead of him, and it looks eminently possible if Leathergar's going to make that move. We're into the penultimate lap of the race, and they head back towards the wet section of the circuit. There's Dominic Farnbacher, the race leader. 2nd place, Perezzini. 3rd for Fontana. 4th for Costa. 5th is Benham. 6th is a couple of sets of headlights, and it's Com Leathergar who emerges into 6th place. He takes 3rd position as a result in the Pro-Am class. Dropping down the place then is Marcello Hahn. So this is good news for Garage 59. They've got both their cars potentially on the Pro-Am rostrum. It's Andrea Fontana slithers wide at Bruxelles, almost presents the opportunity for Albert Costa. This for 3rd in the race overall. And Costa, yesterday's race winner, but for a couple more laps, one wonders. Although pushing very, very hard. So Farnbacher clear out front. Perezzini relatively safe in 2nd. This fight for 3rd, where we've seen that Andrea Fontana is not afraid to get his elbows out and very pointy in order to maintain a position. For Albert Costa, there is also a championship lead to preserve here, so he doesn't necessarily want to risk everything and come up with a 0-0. Fontana, you see just a confidence dab on the brakes at Stavelot. Then sets the car up nicely, plenty of poise and traction. The blast towards Blanchimont. They'll go into the final lap of the race this time around. Swooping around Blanchimont. Wipers a go-go for Costa. He flashes his headlights at Andrea Fontana. Fontana rightly calculates that the Lexus isn't near enough to look to the inside into the bus stop chicane. Still this section of the circuit very dry. Messages being communicated from the pit wall to the drivers. Behind, Rob Bell also poised to make a little bit of ground as Com Leathergar looks to the inside of Mike Benham. This is the challenge for 5th and 6th place. The two cars, of course, running the Garage 59 stable. Leathergar threatening Benham. Rob Bell trying to push his way through. There was potential for contact behind between Jordan Witt and Marcello Hahn. Will pick that momentarily. Yes, there was. And Hahn gets demoted. Rob Bell glides through as down Kemmel Straight for the final time. Potentially all change for 3rd. Somewhere in the murk is Albert Costa. Andrea Fontana right alongside him. Costa squeezing on the brakes as Leathergar looks like he's going to have made the move on Mike Benham to go 2nd in the Pro-Am class. So, yes, he has. So the place gained for Leathergar. Benham slips back to 6th overall, still in the Pro-Am rostrum. And this is the fight for 3rd place in the race overall. Fontana taking very tight inside line to Bruxelles. Costa trying to look for some grip to the outside. There may have been some, but it wasn't enough to propel him around the outside of the Lamborghini. So the pair of them swing left, downhill towards Pouan. Educated right foot's required, or educated right feet required, because the power available to the drivers now vastly exceeding the grip, and having to be very delicate with the throttle. Dominic Farnbacher, 5.6 seconds clear of Pier Giuseppe Perezzini. Perezzini going to win the Pro-Am class. Ciocci qualifying in 13th place. Putting that car well up the order. Oh, and a mistake from Andrea Fontana into Fagna. This possibly the opportunity for Albert Costa. He goes to the outside Lamborghini. Oh, there's going to be contact as Fontana slides. Oh, more contact. And around goes Fontana, who slithers back across into the gravel trap at Stavelot and is comprehensively beached. Oh, that was very, very unfortunate. Frustration for Andrea Fontana and Vito Postiglione. They had been on the podium throughout the course of the race, but contact on the exit of Fania as Dominic Farnbacher in the Farnbacher Racing Lexus is going to come through, take his second victory of the season as the Lexus accelerates out of the final corner. Dominic and Mario Farnbacher win the most dramatic of races here at Spa-Francorchamps. Second place to Pier Giuseppe Perezzini and Marco Ciocci. They win the Pro-Am class. And third position goes to Albert Costa and Philip Fromenvilla, just from Com Leathergar and Alex West, with Mike Benham and Duncan Tappy taking fifth, Jordan Witt and Michael Meadows, then Rob Bell and Sean Balfe in seventh, as everybody surges across the line. Quite incredible racing. And what about the GTOpen class? Here they come up to the line, and it is going to be Alex Moiseev and Davide Rizzo who claim the class win again. Here we see it again. Fontana slid into Costa. Costa then moved back across, tagged Fontana at the wrong angle. The Lamborghini bumped into the wall and then across into the gravel trap. Very unfortunate. Sure, well, it's already under investigation. Sure that will be discussed a fair amount after the race. '17 international GTOpen season, and we should be in for an absolute thriller. 60 minutes of racing to look forward to around one of the most magnificent circuits in Europe. This the second of 7 stops for the season, and after a thrilling race yesterday, which was claimed by Philip Fromenvilla and Albert Costa, their second win of the season, who will prevail this afternoon? Well, it's certainly going to be interesting because this morning we had qualifying held in extremely wet conditions, and as you can see, the wet weather has somewhat blown away in the intervening period, so we've got a slightly jumbled grid that was set on a wet circuit, which is headed by the Imperiale Racing Lamborghini of Vito Postiglione. And Postiglione, who was the pace setter throughout qualifying in the car that he shares with Andrea Fontana. They finished an excellent 5th in yesterday's race, and could be very well set in the Imperiale Racing Lamborghini Huracan. Second on the grid then, the Farnbacher Racing Lexus of Mario and Dominic Farnbacher. It's Mario who takes the start, and this was a car that retired yesterday, but they have had success already this year, and that came in race 2 in Estoril, where they were triumphant. So the Lexus being one of the dominant cars of the season so far. Third on the grid then for Duncan Tappy and Mike Benham in the Garage 59 McLaren. Tappy fully focused on the job ahead. Here Mike Benham, indeed the Garage 59 team, having a slightly frustrating day yesterday. An excellent 4th on the grid for the Brazilian Alan Coder in the Drivex Mercedes that he shares with his compatriot Marcelo Hahn. They finished 10th yesterday, 3rd overall in the Pro-Am class. And then here, 5th on the grid is Philip Fromenvilla, yesterday's race winner in the Emil Frey Racing Lexus. And as a result, Fromenvilla and Albert Costa, currently the championship leaders, from Rob Bell and Sean Balfe. 6th on the grid for Michael Meadows and Jordan Witt in the Jordan Racing Bentley, and they were very impressive yesterday, taking Pro-Am honours. And for Michael Meadows, very solid job in qualifying once more. Giovanni Venturini in the second of the Imperiale Racing Lamborghinis lines up in 7th in the car that he shares with reigning champion Thomas Biaggi. And then 8th on the grid is Nelson Piquet, the former F1 racer, former Formula E champion, appearing this week. 2017 International GTOpen season, and we should be in for an absolute thriller. 60 minutes of racing to look forward to around one of the most magnificent circuits in Europe. This the second of 7 stops for the season, and after a thrilling race yesterday, which was claimed by Philip Frommenvila and Albert Costa, their second win of the season, who will prevail this afternoon? Well, it's certainly going to be interesting because this morning we had qualifying held in extremely wet conditions, and as you can see, the wet weather has somewhat blown away in the intervening period, so we've got a slightly jumbled grid that was set on a wet circuit, which is headed by the Imperiale Racing Lamborghini of Vito Postiglione. And Postiglione, who was the pace setter throughout qualifying in the car that he shares with Andrea Fontana. They finished an excellent 5th in yesterday's race, and could be very well set in the Imperiale Racing Lamborghini Huracan. Second on the grid then, the Farnbacher Racing Lexus of Mario and Dominic Farnbacher. It's Mario who takes the start, and this was a car that retired yesterday, but they have had success already this year, and that came in race 2 in Estoril, where they were triumphant. So the Lexus been one of the dominant cars of the season so far. Third on the grid then for Duncan Tappy and Mike Benham in the Garage 59 McLaren. Tappy fully focused on the job ahead. Here Mike Benham, indeed the Garage 59 team, having a slightly frustrating day yesterday. An excellent 4th on the grid for the Brazilian Alan Coder in the Drivex Mercedes that he shared. On to the presentation of the trophies after one of the most entertaining races that we've had this year in the International GTOpen. 3rd place for Ledegaard and West, a really scintillating drive from Com Ledegaard in the latter laps. To the light of the Garage 59 team, after the disappointment that they had yesterday, they've really bounced back with aplomb today. Marco Ciocci, a fantastic drive through from 13th on the grid to eventually be in 2nd place when they peeled in for their pit stops, and Pier Giuseppe Perezzini bringing the car home in very difficult conditions. Dominic and Mario Farnbacher, who have been at the front of the field throughout the course of the day, and they score their 2nd victory of the season and celebrate on the top step of the rostrum in Spa-Francorchamps. Another triumph as well for Farnbacher Racing. Six very happy drivers posing for the cameras as they then make merry with the bubbly. We will shortly turn our attention to Paul Ricard on the 10th and 11th of June, when the International GTOpen season will continue. Before we do that, we will have the rostrum for the Pro-Am drivers. All smiles from Mike Benham and Alex West. Likewise, Com Ledegaard taking full advantage of the conditions. Pier Giuseppe Perezzini and Marco Ciocci, they have been a very quick combination in all 4 races so far this season, and eventually that pace this afternoon being rewarded with an excellent 3rd place, or rather 2nd place finish and class victory. So Duncan Tappy and Mike Benham, 3rd place. Great drive early on from Tappy, and Mike Benham doing a super job in the wet weather to keep the car on the road and keep most of his rivals behind him. 2017 International GTOpen season, and we should be in for an absolute thriller. 60 minutes of racing to look forward to around one of the most magnificent circuits in Europe. This the second of 7 stops for the season, and after a thrilling race yesterday, which was claimed by Philip Frommenvila and Albert Costa, their second win of the season, who will prevail this afternoon? Well, it's certainly going to be interesting because this morning we had qualifying held in extremely wet conditions, and as you can see, the wet weather has somewhat blown away in the intervening period, so we've got a slightly jumbled grid that was set on a wet circuit, which is headed by the Imperiale Racing Lamborghini of Vito Postiglione. And Postiglione, who was the pace setter throughout qualifying in the car that he shares with Andrea Fontana. They finished an excellent 5th in yesterday's race, and could be very well set in the Imperiale Racing Lamborghini Huracan. Second on the grid then, the Farnbacher Racing Lexus of Mario and Dominic Farnbacher. It's Mario who takes the start, and this was a car that retired yesterday, but they have had success already this year, and that came in race 2 in Estoril, where they were triumphant. So the Lexus being one of the dominant cars of the season so far. Third on the grid then for Duncan Tappy and Mike Benham in the Garage 59 McLaren. Tappy fully focused on the job ahead. Here Mike Benham, indeed the Garage 59 team, having a slightly frustrating day yesterday. An excellent 4th on the grid for the Brazilian Alan Coder in the Drivex Mercedes that he shares with his compatriot Marcelo Hahn. They finished 10th yesterday, 3rd overall in the Pro-Am class. And then here, 5th on the grid is Philip Frommenvila, yesterday's race winner in the Emil Frey Racing Lexus. And as a result, Frommenvila and Albert Costa, currently the championship leaders, from Rob Bell and Sean Balfe. 6th on the grid for Michael Meadows and Jordan Witt in the Jordan Racing Bentley, and they were very impressive yesterday, taking Pro-Am honours. And for Michael Meadows, very solid job in qualifying once more. Giovanni Venturini in the second of the Imperiale Racing Lamborghinis lines up in 7th in the car that he shares with reigning champion Thomas Biaggi. And then 8th on the grid is Nelson Piquet, the former F1 racer, former Formula E champion, appearing this week.